Not necessarily be the order of this next fight. Vinnie Ponzio and Eddie Cook. With the introductions, here is Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to the bantamweight division. This bout is scheduled for 8 rounds, and the referee is PADILLA. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks and weighing an even 119 pounds. He's from Denver, Colorado. Ranked number 12 by the NABF with a professional record of 8-2-1, 4 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, Vinnie the Hammer Ponzio. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with red trim. He weighs 119 3/4 pounds, originally from St. Louis, Missouri, now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. As a professional, he's undefeated, 12-0. All 12 victories by KO, ranked number 8 by the USBA. Introducing Eddie Cook.
Okay, you will already give instructions in your respective dressing room. Any question? Okay, seconds, come out fighting.
This is Vinnie Ponzio, a former Marine, an Army brat, he said, and he's now living in Denver, and just the other day found out he was ranked 12th in the USBA, and Eddie Cook is the 8th ranked fighter in the USBA. In the bantamweight classification, Carlos Padilla is the referee in the second fight of the night. Championship Sunday on ESPN. Ponzio in the blue trunks and Cook in the black.
Charlie, you alluded to the fact that defense wouldn't necessarily be the major factor in this. It's one thing, though, both these boxers would like to improve on. Eddie Cook, while he's been spectacular in winning his bouts and winning by knockout, has been down a couple of times, and he would like to not take so many shots.
Ponzio, on the other hand, makes no bones about the fact he wants to make this a street brawl. There is nothing delicate about Vinnie Ponzio.
And he's had a couple of good performances, even one in losing, that has given him some cause for serious optimism. Robert Shannon, the former Olympian, beat him in Tacoma, Washington the last time out, and before that lost in Seattle. Split decision to Shannon, who he felt he definitely won that bout, but then did avenge the loss.
And he comes in flailing with a right hand that got mostly Cook's gloves. Ponzio is 27. He is no spring chicken. He turned pro at 23 and had a limited amateur background.
I would like to be 27 again.
Fat chance.
I haven't been that for at least 3 or 4 years.
Speaking of birthdays, how's that for a transition?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Jay Edson of Top Rank, and really one of the great referees of his day.
67 years old, and he is a great guy who, as you mentioned, a lot of people don't know that he was a phenomenal referee, did many championship fights. Now there is Eddie Cook against the ropes, counterpunching well, and he can do that. Unfortunately, sometimes he gets nailed against the ropes. I think he showed Ponzio his power in that last exchange.
And he nailed him with a left hand. Ponzio better get out of there. And he gets into a headlock instead. 2 minutes into the first round of the second fight of the night, and already there's some blood over the left eye. And Ponzio gets nailed again with a left.
Eddie Cook is a very powerful puncher. We saw it as far back as 4 or 5 years ago when we saw him in the Olympic Festival that we televised here on ESPN. And as a pro, he has certainly shown terrific power. Probably one of the harder hitters around at that weight class.
That's the kind of a cut that can get awfully irritating for a fighter. And now he seems to be bleeding on both sides. Both eyes are bloody for Ponzio. He wanted a street fight, and he got it. And boy, is he getting it.
He did land a right hand, Ponzio. That's about the best he's done in this first round. Eddie Cook just really going after him.
Cook has been the pitcher, and Ponzio has been the catcher as we come to the end of round 1. And we are going to keep it here. You are looking at the Bulldog, who in 2 rounds tonight won an impressive knockout. So you're going to talk to your bulldog Otis on the telephone and tell him how you did?
Oh, I'll be phoning him tonight. Yeah, he knows my voice, and I can't wait to get back home. We're fighting there March the 9th, so that's a short time away.
And you have on your agenda, I gather, in April, you're going to headline your first card up in Bismarck, North Dakota.
That's right. That'll be a beautiful opportunity for us. Richie and Mouse and I were working so well together, and now we'll be a main event fighter. That's something I've always dreamed of in Bismarck. You can't get a better place in Bismarck to make your main event debut.
We look at a guy who may be a future opponent for you, Scotty. Here's Eddie Cook, who actually knocks the glove back into the face of Ponzio. That may have been what even cut him. Eddie Cook, you've probably seen him in the gym a little bit. Tough man.
Oh, he's a very strong man. I have to admit that I believe Eddie Cook is the strongest bantamweight on the planet. There is nobody in the division who punches harder than Eddie Cook. I give the man a lot of credit and a lot of praise. He's going to be one future champion, and he's a top prospect in 1991.
Your performance, did you know that you landed 49 of 67 punches and you landed 24 of 37 jabs? Accuracy personified.
Well, you can have all the power in the world, but unless you settle down and connect with them, the power does you no good. So Richie's teaching me very good accuracy.
Great job.
Scotty Olson, congratulations, and it's now 12-0, and Bazooka DeLuca, I gather, is down the road, and somewhere further down the road is your dream, Michael CARBAJAL.
That's right. Michael CARBAJAL and I go back a long ways. Right now, I have my sights set on my March 9th fight and a 10-round fight with Tony DeLuca.
All right, Scotty, thank you once again, and congratulations, and they are flailing in the corner. As we mentioned from the get-go, Vinnie Ponzio wanted a street fight, and that's about the only chance it looks like he's got.
And it's not working out too well for him, although with Eddie Cook, if you're in there and you can land something, you always get the feeling you might send him down, but he always gets up when he gets sent down. And Scotty alluded to the power of Eddie Cook. We've seen ample evidence of that.
Blood again beginning to trickle from both eyes of Ponzio, especially the left eye.
Well, this is exactly what we would have anticipated from this bout. A little awkward, a little wild, but a lot of punches being thrown and some big bombs being landed.
And not a lot of defense. But as Scotty mentioned, Eddie Cook may be in this weight category the strongest puncher of anybody on the planet, as Vinnie Ponzio is finding out the hard way. Carlos Padilla. Everybody remembers him, of course, from the Thriller in Manila. And referee he has been over the past almost 20 years.
Eddie Cook is really getting there with his punches now. He's getting there with sharp, straight left hands. There's a punch that I think landed a little low. Padilla says, warning, now he could give some time, and he will, to Ponzio.
And time is something that Ponzio certainly can use.
Okay, put it up.
Now, if that was me, I wouldn't say I'm okay. I'd say, no, I want a minute or two.
That left eye is looking awfully nasty.
Cook now getting in the uppercuts as well as the straight left hand. And holding and hitting by Cook, and he gets a warning again from Padilla.
Coming to the end of round 2. We are at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, as Eddie Cook is tattooing Vinnie Ponzio. Back in a minute.
No.
Really a legal punch. He complained about it being low, but in reality, it turned out to be, I think, a legal blow. Very hard, though, for Padilla from his vantage point to see, Charlie, so he has to almost accept the boxer's word that it was low.
It is almost inconceivable to believe that we've only gone through 2 rounds when you take a look at the face of Vinnie Ponzio. Both eyes have been slit open and both beginning to swell, and Ponzio, in an air of desperation, is coming out flailing here in round 3, but not landing very well.
One thing Vinnie Ponzio did do in the last round, off the ropes, he landed a very good straight right hand. But he's going to need more of those, and with a lot more authority to keep Eddie Cook off. There you see that. You get a great view of the hand speed of Eddie Cook. See how quick. Look at Cook work with the double right hook and work that body.
Ponzio just has no speed at all to keep up with Cook. And he is just taking a beating about the eyes and taking shots to the body as well. This has been every bit as one-sided as the Scotty Olsen fight turned out to be.
And there's the right hand from Ponzio that I talked about. So you can get that counter right in, Charlotte.
He's trying to hook upstairs.
And that one may have stunned Eddie Cook. That overhand right got to Eddie Cook. Maybe Vinnie Ponzio can use that as something to build on. Ponzio's a guy who was learned as a pro. You mentioned the 27. He started late as a boxer, only had 25 amateur bouts, so he's had to learn as a pro, and he admits, he said, I'm a brawler, I'm not a stylist. Which is true, but he's a tough guy.
He has not backed down to his credit. But boy, is he taking a beating.
One thing Eddie Cook has shown in this bout, those right hands notwithstanding, is a better defense.
Missing with the uppercut, Ponzio's trying to go for the home run. In the meantime, he's getting nailed with singles and doubles. Oh, man, what a combination by Cook.
Quick hands by Eddie Cook. Tremendous straight left hand. And Vinnie Ponzio is standing up, and I'm sure Eddie Cook can't figure out why. Those are exactly the kind of punches that he has used to knock people out.
That was a great flurry of about 20 seconds. Just clinical boxing by Eddie Cook. Ponzio, hand it to him. He's a courageous fighter.
Those cuts are not bleeding right now. Maybe a trickle of blood, but cuts around both eyes of Ponzio have been dealt with quite effectively by his corner.
Coming to the end of round 3 of what is expected to be an 8-round fight. But by all indications, don't stray too far from the television. And the star of our show tonight, the IBF light flyweight champion Michael CARBAJAL, and that is live in the locker room here at the Sports Pavilion in Caesars Palace.
His brother Danny CARBAJAL, in back of him, a guy who has guided Michael's career, and a man who looked, by the way, the only one that looked at tapes of Santos, and he conveyed that information on to Michael. Michael said, I didn't look at him, but Danny did, and that's the way they always work it. Danny will look at the tapes, convey it to Michael, and Michael will take it from there.
And that has been an equation that has worked to perfection for this 23-year-old from Phoenix, Arizona. Speaking of perfection.
Well, Eddie Cook counterpunching so well off those ropes, and not everything landing there, but you can see there's no chance for Ponzio to answer back when you're getting hit with a flurry like that.
This is round 4. We are coming to you from the Sports Pavilion at Caesars Palace, where there have been over the years some of the really thrilling fights of the past 15, 20 years. Leonard Benitez fought here. Hagler and Antifermo. It has been a one-sided fight, as the statistics would lead you to believe.
Anything over 50% is extraordinary. Scotty Olsen landed 73% in his bout, but Eddie Cook doing fine with that 53%.
And maybe the most exciting fight I've ever seen for heavyweights. Foreman and Lyle was fought in this building.
That was superb. That was outstanding. And you know what my favorite was of all of them?
What's that?
Kenny Norton and Larry Holmes.
Oh,
right here in this
absolutely.
building. 15 rounds of unrelenting action, a chess match back and forth, and it ended up being decided by 1 point.
We are at Caesars Palace, the Sports Pavilion, Top Rank Boxing Championship Sunday. Charlie Steiner, Al Bernstein, Michael CARBAJAL coming up in under an hour. And this is the 4th round of Eddie Cook and Vinnie Ponzio, a couple of bantamweights, a fight that has been fairly well one-sided for Eddie Cook, who is 12-0, and all 12 of his wins have come by knockout. And in the very first round, Ponzio had both eyes bloody.
Ever since we saw Eddie Cook as an amateur in that Olympic festival, you knew that with his style as an amateur, he would make a terrific pro. Very aggressive, and boy, that's exactly what he's been. Just race through opponents. And showing signs that tonight, I think, especially, that all the work he's done with Kenny Adams, his discipline has helped him. And, you know, he came into this bout, by the way, with a bad back. He's been having some back troubles. They're hoping that it hasn't affected him so far tonight, but it is something that they're really, we're very concerned about coming into this, some back pains that Eddie Cook has had.
We heard Scotty Olsen say a bit earlier that Cook may be the hardest hitter of all the bantamweights in the world at the moment. And if that is so, Vinnie Ponzio can take one kind of licking.
I think that is a testimony to the toughness of Ponzio, because when you get hit with the shots Eddie Cook is hitting you with, normally guys go down.
Half a minute to go here in the fourth round. This has not been the street fight, I think, that Ponzio wanted. It has been more of a boxing match that he did not want, and he's certainly taken a beating he had not anticipated. 4 rounds down, 4 rounds to go. Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Back in a minute.
Superb body puncher, and there is a prime example. The left hand coming up, and offensively, there's not much Eddie Cook can't do.
And defensively, there isn't much that Vinnie Ponzio can do. It has been a one-sided fight, Al.
I have it completely in Eddie Cook's favor. Could have probably made one of those rounds a 2-point round, but I decided not to.
Round 5 of what may be 8. What is it? Eddie Cook was preoccupied in having a conversation with Carlos Padilla, and he paid for his indiscretion. Minute into round 5.
Well, that's the thing with Eddie Cook, you know, the idea that you always get the feeling with him that something could happen bad.
And it almost did.
Yeah, and in other fights, as we said, he's been down a couple of times. Once really hurt. But that also will make him a more marketable boxer, Charlie. I mean, it really will.
He is exciting.
Look what it's done for Tommy Hearns. I mean, the fact that he goes down from time to time. Oh, beautiful right hook by Cook.
Man, they are right over us. And Cook really snuck in a nice right hand. Ponzio's corner has done a nice job in closing up the gashes on either eye. Not really been a factor since the first round.
You know, one of the things about Eddie Cook that gets overlooked, and it's easy with a boxer of his style, is how good his jab is. Even when he doesn't land it, he really uses it to set up other punches.
Good, solid body shot by Cook. Cook is just quicker to the draw. It's as simple as that. And 2 and 3 punches for every one that Ponzio tries to throw.
And this is, by the way, the longest Eddie Cook has gone in his professional career. He's never seen the 5th round before. And he's doing quite well.
Showing no sign of fatigue at all. Seems to be getting stronger as the fight goes on. A little bolo action there. Somebody lost a mouthpiece, and presumably it is Ponzio. And a good, solid left by Cook.
Swelling around Eddie Cook's left eye, testimony to the right hands that Ponzio has thrown.
Well, Ponzio gets his mouthpiece put back in. Takes a body shot. And another.
Eddie Cook has just been superb in this bout. And it really is a testimony to Ponzio's toughness that he's still there.
We will continue from the Sports Pavilion in Caesars Palace in just a minute.
762.
Very, very low. There it is. And it hurt Ponzio, needless to say. They ended up taking a point away from Eddie Cook because of that punch. And it came at a point in the round where Eddie Cook was really dominating, so would end up probably being an even round because of the point being taken away from Cook.
Well, if that's the case, then Vinnie Ponzio for the first time, has at least had an even round.
Yeah, that would be a first. And ironically, you know, the point got taken away from Cook because they thought that other blow was low. The one that we documented wasn't low. But again, in defense of Carlos Padilla, he was not in a good position really to see that. I think it would, and at the time, looking at it live, I would have thought also a low blow was landed.
In the 5th round, oh man.
Well, it's tough to come away with an even round when you've done that well because of the point being taken away. I mean, that's Eddie Cook right there at 50%. He's doing an excellent job.
Okay,
In the 5th round, he landed nearly 6 times as many punches, and he comes away with an even round.
Now, of course, some judges may have said it was a 2-point round for him, and he, despite the point, maybe give it a close. I got it.
But as Ponzio continues to absorb a terrible beating, he is not backtracking one iota.
And he's taking some really strong hooks to the body and straight left hands by Eddie Cook. Eddie Cook had a phenomenal amateur career boxing in the service, and has been reunited with Kenny Adams, who he boxed for in many armed forces teams and national teams. And boy, he has carried that momentum right into the professional ranks.
Brought with him a 12-0 record, all by knockouts, and said, frankly, this morning he was surprised at how well he has been doing in the early going of his
Yeah,
career.
I thought that was interesting. That he said the extent of it has even been shocking to him. That he didn't think he'd move along this quickly. So it's a testimony to the work that's been done with him by Kenny and others.
Minute to go, round 6. This is as far as Cook has ever gone in a fight, but still looks fresh and continues to dominate.
Ponzio, by the way, has gone 8.
Oh, and Ponzio's in trouble now.
He may not tonight.
But he keeps coming back. And Ponzio's corner has done just a magnificent job on those 2 cut eyes.
Now here you see Eddie Cook boxing a little bit. I want to show you that he's got a number of different things available to him. And there, look, you know why he did that? Because he wanted to land a counter punch. As Ponzio was coming in and it worked, he landed a good straight left hand. He wanted to make Ponzio come to him for a while so he could land that counter left, and he did land it.
Come on, baby, let's go, baby, shoot! Now, get up there!
6 rounds down, 2 rounds to go. Back for round 7. Eddie Cook, Vinnie Ponzio.
A basketball. The action's outstanding. Everywhere you look, there's down-to-the-wire excitement.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Awesome, baby!
It's a big Monday triple header.
Eddie Cook using the jab to set up this straight left hand. I talked about that in the last round, and it is such an effective weapon. And maybe the fact that I talked about it is why they use that replay.
Clearly.
Amazing.
This is round 7 of 8.
Okay, brilliant.
You have to admire the courage of Vinnie Ponzio. He is not a skilled fighter, and he was about the first one to admit that. He's a street brawler, and he has not backed down, although he has absorbed a brutal beating tonight.
There were a number of times during this bout when you could have made a case that maybe he was on his way out. And as you said, he's shown a lot of toughness and has on occasion landed some good right hands that created that puffiness around the left eye of Eddie Cook. I have got Cook winning everything, 1 round even because of the point being taken away. So I have him coasting here to a victory.
It's a shutout with an asterisk.
Come on, Manny! Come on, Manny, fire! Now! Shoot!
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you're going to be honored at your former alma mater, Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. When is this special event?
We play in Peoria Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
That's great. So
I'm looking forward. They couldn't get rid of me fast enough 20 years ago.
Well, but now, see, that's always the way. And now you're returning as an idol.
Media icon.
At least an honored guest, anyway. I think that's nice.
I'm looking forward to going back.
Nice of them to do that for you.
Bradley Braves. Now, if they can only turn around their basketball team this year, we'll be in business.
It used to be great.
Had some good teams in the good old days. It's been a long season for Stan Albeck and company.
He's had a few long seasons lately with the Bulls and before that with the Spurs. And Yeah, he'll turn it around.
Well, we got to see UNLV here in town last night. Man.
Somebody asked the last time UNLV lost, and I think you said it was to the Celtics.
The Celtics in 78. Callens had 23 in that game. Less than a minute to go in round 7.
Eddie Cook now in this round doing what he needs to do. Not looking for the knockout against Ponzio.
Uh-oh.
And there's some loose ropes that could have created a big problem for him.
And as you mentioned, Cook had a stiff back, and it's either one way to stiffen it up even more or loosen it for good.
Yeah, that is not what you want to have happen to you when you have a back problem.
Oh, and a good, solid body shot.
And ironically, that knocked the mouthpiece of Ponzio out, the body shot.
Mouthpiece, hurry up.
In fact, that was Eddie Cook's mouthpiece.
Oh, it was, wow.
Hurry up.
It came right at a moment when Cook landed a huge body shot. So I thought maybe Ponzio spit his out. I've seen one mouthpiece, you've seen them all.
So that's the end of round 7. One more round to go, and Kenny Adams now speak his mind.
Just for once, you got to work, that's all.
Kenny.
Huh? Listen to me now. Keep your hands up and use your jab. Ain't nothing up. Everything's working fine. What's the problem? Huh? Oh, don't worry about that. Come on. Let's go. Last round coming up. Last round. Look at it. Look here. He's coming out. Trying to go for the gusto. Close your eyes. He's going for the gusto. All you got to do, utilize your jab, drop the left hand off, keep your hands up. The man start getting close to you, Eddie, stay off the ropes, okay? Stay off the rope. And don't be lazy, huh? Keep your hands up. I'm going to holler chin, chin, chin a lot, okay? How we doing? Let's go to work. Last round, huh? You the man. Let's go. What? Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 8th.
Meanwhile, a lot more work being done in the corner of Vinnie Ponzio. But give him credit. He has stayed on his feet through 7 rounds. While Cook has pitched pretty near a shutout.
There's always excellent advice from Kenny Adams, and you sense that Eddie Cook was, good right by Ponzio. Almost seemed distressed that he's knocked out Ponzio, and what Kenny Adams was trying to tell him was, you're working fine. Don't think about that. You just keep using that jab and a straight left hand. Look at this. What a huge edge for Eddie Cook. The 50% figure is terrific. They have to love that. Of course, Ponzio has not been very accurate with his punches and has thrown a lot less.
And landed about 4 for every 1 by Ponzio. And Ponzio really hasn't landed but maybe 2 or 3 shots of any significance all night. But Eddie Cook, he wanted some work tonight. Although he, as he said, he would prefer to get him out in a hurry. But he's gotten a pretty good workout tonight. Able to work on the jab, and defensively he seems to have been more than successful. But of course that has a lot to do with the fact that his quickness was simply too much. Ponzio.
There, Eddie Cook looking to land the uppercut from way outside and thought better of it. He said, no, I'm not going to throw this punch from here because I know I'll get countered.
Halfway through the final round.
And Kenny Adams telling him to use that jab, which has been so effective for him. And it's effective for Cook even when it doesn't land, just as a rangefinder for the left hand. We showed that very well in a replay a couple of rounds ago.
About a minute to go in the 8th and final round, and there have been no knockdowns.
The head of Ponzio getting in there and bothering Eddie Cook. It's no shame that he didn't knock out Ponzio, because after all, Ponzio just went in against Robert Shannon, who's still a good boxer and was an Olympic medalist, and beat him the last time out in 8 rounds. So this is just the kind of guy that a young fighter like Eddie Cook really needs to go 8 rounds against.
Well, now he knows he can go 8 rounds.
And strongly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's thrown a lot of punches here in this last round. He's boxed well. Still putting power behind the shots, as that last left and uppercut would indicate. Cook will be happy with.
There is no reason at all for him to be disappointed just because he did not knock Vinnie Ponzio down, who proved to be a tough customer with limited skills. But Eddie Cook was pretty near perfect in this performance tonight.
The only negative comes from the swelling around the right eye, which came from some right hands. It may have come from some clashes of heads also. They banged heads a lot in there. And Vinnie Ponzio, we've talked about his toughness. He wanted more than that in this bout. He really felt he could beat Eddie Cook. Felt that if they took it to Eddie, that Eddie might fold, and he did not. This young man is really a boxer to watch. Here we see the head getting right in there, and Eddie, really, it's bothering him. He's worried about that. See, there it is. Ponzio sticking his head in there, coming in head first, and you see Eddie Cook grimacing. Might have hit that left eye.
Well, let's no longer prolong the inevitable. Here is the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the official scoring from Caesar's Palace. All three judges, Dalby Shirley, Paul Smith, and Patricia Jarman, score the bout 78-73 for the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated, Eddie Cook.
Well, he went 8 rounds, and he wins a decision. Eddie Cook coming up next. Ringside Report, followed by Michael Carbajal. We'll be back.